Well, once again, good morning from Costa Rica. We have a beautiful sunny morning in our normal 2 seasons. This is dry season. Right now we've got right now we have a great deal of noise, unfortunately, but from the cicadas who have hatched and are busily looking for girlfriends. So their chirping is incredibly loud. So hopefully that won't disturb this video. This morning I'm going to read some information on memory loss. It's not just about memory loss with dementia. It's also memory loss. What is our memory and how do we retain memory? I always like to give a lot of information about how your brain works and how a normal brain functions and how dementia affects that functioning. So let's go. I'm going to read this is an article that I've written. I've written over approximately 200 articles in the past few years, and this is one of them. All right. One of the earliest symptoms of dementia is losing words and problems with remembering. Our memory plays a vital role in our lives. Without it, we couldn't exist. It's not only about our conscious memory of people, events, and experiences from the past, but also the trillions of bits of learned information, such as driving a car, cooking a meal, or getting dressed, and the physical involuntary memory, like breathing, digestion, or your heart beating. The quantity of information the brain can store is limitless. Believe it or not, there is no limit to how much information you can store. Memory receives, processes, stores, and retains information until it is recalled. Unlike the senses, memory isn't just in a specific part of your brain. It's a whole brain process. All right, I'm going to explain that. Memory is a network of many elements intersecting to form an entire memory, like a jigsaw puzzle composed of many pieces. The first time our brain formed the memory of an apple, for instance, it was probably a red, crunchy, round thing that tasted good to eat. Each component of the apple experience becomes stored in different areas of the brain that correspond to that individual piece of the puzzle. Apples are red, that corresponds to color and vision. Crunchy, tactile and auditory. Smooth, tactile. And food, taste. When asked to list things that are red, crunchy, or something to eat, we might include apple in any group. But red could also pertain to a favorite dress, to crunchy to corn chips, which is also something to eat. People with dementia often confuse words for objects, like calling salt sugar. They are both white and powdery. What we intentionally remember is part of our conscious mind, which accounts for only 5% of our brain function. The rest is in the subconscious mind, operating without our awareness. We don't need to consciously remember to walk, talk, eat, breathe, or use our muscles. We do this even when we aren't conscious of it. Every experience is a memory stored in the subconscious, affecting our thoughts and actions. When we remember, what we remember first passes through the hippocampus in the brain, the center of our short-term memory. This only lasts 15 to 30 seconds. What's most relevant about the experience is sent to the long-term memory. Wait a minute, I lost my place. Okay, here we go. Our longest lasting memories are those connected to the strongest emotions, positive or negative. A wedding, the birth of a baby, a new job, trauma or abuse. These memories are rooted in our subconscious. With dementia, there's short-term memory loss, but many of the older subconscious memories remain. It's why people with dementia commonly remember events from their very early past. Loss of short-term memory affects the ability to recall events intentionally. People with this condition operate primarily from their automatic subconscious programming. Excuse me. unaware of their thoughts, words, and actions that are influenced by it. As symptoms progress, they mainly act and react unintentionally. Our brain has 100 billion interconnected neurons passing information, and each neuron contains memory elements. When we learn something new, we develop more connections. Connections shrink or disengage when we don't use some of this information. So basically, it's use it or lose it. With dementia, this operating system gets damaged or destroyed. The connections to the information circuit or disconnect, and neurons die. This results in an inability to access remaining information in healthy neurons. Like any electrical system in your home, a continuous flow of energy through the wiring is necessary for the lights to turn on, the TV to function, or the blender to work. The brain's electrical network of impulses is actually a similar system. We also remember the process of doing things commonly done without thought. We automatically prepare food, dress ourselves, brush our teeth, and take a shower. We don't usually think about the steps involved. During dementia progression, memory of the process is lost, and people forget how to do even the simplest things. They also become disoriented and do not recognize the rooms in their own homes. When away from home, they can get disoriented and lost, unable to find their way back even in a familiar environment. With dementia, people eventually forget who they are and lose self-identity. How can you remember who you are if you can't remember what you've done? Our sense of self is usually related to what we have experienced in life. But what happens when memory of those experiences is being erased? It's a common occurrence that a person with dementia looks in the mirror and thinks their reflection is another person. Another symptom is forgetting a person's name or their relationship to them. For example, a mother might forget her daughter's name, or forget she has children. A husband might not remember his wife or that he was ever married. Here's a story that's commonly experienced by family members at some point in the progression. Anne watched as the young woman came into the room. She was holding a glass of something and offered it to her. She seemed very lovely, and Anne liked her at once. There was something familiar about her. Maybe she would know when her daughter was coming to visit. "Where's my daughter?" she asked. "I'm your daughter, Mom." "No, you're not. She's coming to get me later." However, when the mom forgets her daughter's name, she actually forgets her label. Names are labels. When she forgets her daughter, she is forgetting her role as daughter. Everyone plays many roles in life, and mother or daughter is just one of them. Anne has played more roles than just a mother. In this story, Mom doesn't recognize the daughter, but does recognize her as someone familiar with whom she feels good. Too often, family members depend on their loved one's memory of their label or role and feel they have lost them when they don't remember this anymore. But what's important is to understand that all the roles we play come and go. The person with dementia is still here, simply playing out a new script, the role of a person struggling with dementia. Well, that's the end of my article. I'm going to discuss it a little bit right now. Let's see, I had a couple of things that were... All right, your conscious mind. I think it's important to understand that you are so much more than what you think. Thinking is a conscious mind function. When we think, or we are conscious of our environment, or we're thinking about what we're going to do tomorrow, this is all part of the conscious mind. 5% of what's going on up here. The other subconscious mind stores everything that has happened to you in life, everything that you've learned. If the short-term memory thinks it's important enough to throw it back into long-term memory, it's still there. Somewhere in those 100 billion bits of neurons in your brain is the information, every bit of information you've ever learned. It's important also to understand that when you don't use information, it weakens. The connections to the information weaken. In other words, the dendrites, which are those electrical wires that the electrical impulses shoot through, they become thin, just like branches on a tree. There's the thicker part of the branch and on a healthy tree, and then there's all of these smaller branches that branch off. Well, these smaller branches start to shrink if you don't use information that you have stored. So the information might still be there, but the connections to that information has shrunk, or just is not as strong as it used to be. Okay. The other thing I'd like to discuss is about forgetfulness of a family member. Everything we do in life, everything we become in life, are just roles that we've played. Imagine you're writing the script, which you are. You're creating your life. And you're playing out this role. So how many roles have you had in your life? I've been a child, a rambunctious child. I've been a rebellious teenager. I was a young single mother. I was a wife at one point. There's so many roles that you play. And then, of course, there's your work roles that you play. I'm an artist. I'm a writer. You know, who are you, Katya? I'm an artist and writer. Well, that's just two roles that I have played in life. Then there's the emotional roles. Well, some people consider me to be kind of a opinionated, difficult person. I agree, 100%. Those are part of the roles I've become. But I've also learned to be much more flexible in my life than I was when, say, I was younger, where younger, my emotional role would have been very inflexible. Now I'm a bit more flexible as I've gotten older. So my role has basically changed to another person. Who I was at 20 years old, that wild, rambunctious, wanting to know the whole world, that person has calmed down at 77 years old. It's still there. The material for who I am now, the role I am playing right now, is still there. It's part of the script. But if I lose the role of writer, where I can no longer write, I'm still Katya. I'm still the person that exists here and now. So it's important to realize that whether a person remembers the role of someone else, or the label, which is their name. Our names are basically to separate us from our siblings, and that we can have IDs throughout life, and we're separate from everybody else. It separates us. Our names are our labels. And when those two things are forgotten with dementia, which eventually happens in pretty much, I would say 99% of dementia progression, it's taken too seriously, too much to heart by the families. It's, oh, she doesn't remember I'm her daughter. That is one of the times that it seems to me that caregivers have, it's the toughest time for them to get through, is when their loved one no longer recognizes them. But understand that recognition of who a person is still just 5% of that conscious mind. So when you recognize someone and you outwardly say their name or whatever, that's within the 5%. The subconscious mind is still recognizing the person. They recognize the person as someone important. And if that person in this present day and time treats them well or makes them happy, they may not remember who they are, but they're always going to remember how the person made them feel. So it's very important to not be upset about what they don't remember. Just be glad they're still with you. And I think that last statement that I wrote, here it is, let's see. What's important to understand is that all the roles we play come and go. So whether we remember them or not, or other people remember them or not, they come and go. The person with dementia is still here, simply playing out a new script. It's just a new script. The role of a person struggling with dementia. But that person is still there. Okay, so this is the end of my my live Facebook, and next week I'm going to talk about risk factors of dementia, which will include quite a bit of our lifestyle, actually. And if you want to see these clips, the Reading Dementia, go on to Google and just type in my name, Katya De Luisa, put in Reading Dementia YouTube videos. And you'll find these clips for Reading Dementia and several other videos and podcasts and so on that I have been participated in the past. So thank you for watching this, and hope to see you next Sunday at the same time, 9 o'clock Costa Rica, 11 o'clock Est. And for next week, the risk factors of dementia. Bye.